Name had a very good performance on the Vayne as well. In the end, Ella is going to move over to a Cassiopeia, though.
To Cassiopeia, another new champion, I believe, for Baka. Maybe played it once this season.
Does fit his playstyle, though.
I do feel like he's maybe picked it up once. In this particular situation, I love Kalista and Cassiopeia together, just because Cassiopeia, the only downside of this champion who has massive single target damage, can have a very oppressive laning phase, is that sometimes positioning in team fights is very difficult. When that poison falls off, if you're not able to keep spamming out those twin fangs, you don't really get the same team fight impact. So that's why I much prefer with a hyper carry, because just like when Kennen fights with a hyper carry, just stand next to your hyper carry, use Petrifying Gaze as a disengage option, throw out the poison. You know people are going to be coming in to get on top of both you and the hyper carry, and then just smash out the damage.
Well, we'll see whether they manage to do that, but let's look over the lineups here. Cola now on the Maokai, taking it away from Flandre there in the top lane, who's back on the Trundle. Blank with the Rek'Sai again against Beasts. Nunu, of course, is critically acclaimed Nunu there as well, as the Cassiopeia meets the Ahri in the mid lane. Ahri very tricksy, going to be hard to land those Noxious Blasts, but we'll see whether Baka can manage it here. As Crystal against Name, the Kalista against Vayne, and this is a lane that Name was actually quite strong in.
Okay, but we have to factor in the supports when we're talking about the lane strength. What does Blitzcrank offer Vayne, barring the miracle brush hook into Condemn against the wall? The situational engage, if they put it together, can get them a lane snowball. But in a long laning phase, Thresh is just so much more flexible than the Blitzcrank.
Well, we'll see what does happen, of course. Blitzcrank, pretty fun champion. We'll see whether there's going to be any excitement here in the early game coming into this one, because you have to think that with a Blitzcrank on your team, you've got to invade.
Absolutely. Level 1 is usually a priority for these Blitzcrank comps, and also level 1 defenses or even a counter invade might be on the way coming through from Snake. So hopefully some fireworks for what is looking like the last LPL game this season for Starhole and Royal Club.
Yeah, well, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, as we get onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for Starhole Royal Club, taking on Snake for Game 2. Snake already up 1. Starhole Royal Club's hopes of making the playoffs have been dashed now as well. So we'll see whether that does get to them. But at the moment, they're definitely playing aggressively here already in the jungle of Snake.
Yeah, they're following the sweet ride of Zero on this Blitzcrank skin. He's trying to get in there and get the pick, but holding so far behind. Snake still want to go to this bottom lane, you can see. So they're just hanging around where they know that they're not in wards. In fact, we've already seen that Blitzcrank has gone over 2 wards. So definitely predictable as Starhole Royal Club starts.
Yeah, and actually this bottom lane has not been seen yet. The Sentinel is going to wander into the brush and spot 4 members already.
With that Sentinel start, it does suggest to me that they might want to start the Gromp, but against a Blitzcrank, very risky to do so. Rend is usually the laning start if you're rushing to lane. You can go for the Pierce as well for a few flexible options, but usually you want to take a camp if you're going to start with the Sentinel, and judging by the minimap, they're still going to do so.
Yeah, still going to take that one down. They're going to take both Gromps here as well, and Snake back to their de-gromping ways.
It's just hilarious to me that the jungle timings change from 140 to 155, and yet everyone still finds a way to help themselves to some of the jungler's jungle.
Yeah, it's exactly what happens every single time. I can understand your frustration here, Papa Smithy, being a former jungle player. But look, does help out in these 2v2 situations, and is going to give Crystal and Ella the early level 2. You can see both hitting that already. Name not going to cop too much aggression just yet. It's just going to be an auto attack there, and the Ren to come through as well, just to secure the minion and some harassment.
I mean, Blitzcrank and Vayne definitely need to push this lane in. Blitzcrank's much stronger on the aggressive than he is on the defense. Of course, there is always that hope for the miracle hook under turret, but usually a bit fleeting when it comes to competitive play. So you'd rather the lane be pushed up. At the moment, fairly even.
Yeah, Name just doing his best, farming out these waves. You can see both of these AD carries very even, as Blank actually going to steal away a blue buff here as well. Blue, I believe, was also stolen on the side of Snake. We saw them taking down the Gromp, and that would understandably lead to the blue afterwards. So some vertical jungling understandably coming through here, as Korn able to push up this wave here against Baka. Haven't really seen him on this Cassiopeia as we mentioned before, but so far doing okay, and there's a Noxious Blast. Not bad.
So the vertical jungling happened not because of the lane swap, but just because it was very well understood that Starhole and Royal Club were entrenched on the blue side jungle of Snake, so it would be very risky to at any point try and visit that blue. They didn't go for that, but with the Pillar of Ice, Cola could be in trouble.
Yeah, Beast actually is there with the Ice Blast here as well. The permanent slow coming through, and first blood for Beast. Easy as you like, and the robot walks away.
So he had the option of trading at least one flash from Snake in that situation, but was happy just to die with his flash available. Maybe that will become relevant, but you'd have to think the wraparound gank from Nunu is not going to be as scary as the wraparound gank from Rek'Sai, but the result still, first blood goes down to Flandre.
Yeah, and Ella was respecting the Blitzcrank here, sitting in the brush. They do manage to get a ward in there now, though, as of course, with Marshall poised, Crystal going to have a little bit of a better time there as the Condemn actually onto the wall. Zero coming through. There's the Unburrow, the teleport immediately to follow, but there's the grab from Zero, and he locks down the kill. Flandre teleports in, but he's very close to death as Crystal trying to get some follow-up damage. Blank attempts to get out of there as well. Still 3 members strong here, but the answering kill already now in the bottom lane.
Yeah, the skirmish damage coming through from Blank on the Rek'Sai is so high early levels, with the double knockup coming through from both the Power Fist and the Flash Unburrow into the hook. It rang true onto Ella. Good answering kill, and they're not done.
Yeah, this is a Flash Condemn actually from Name, as Beast is around here as well, trying to be a problem. Crystal manages to get to the other side of this turret. He's very, very low. Blank's going to fall down. The Power Fist here, and all of these caster creeps nets Zero another kill. Beast trying to catch up to Name. He's got a lot of Ice Blast in his back pocket, and Name, that's the auto attack, and Beast picks up the kill.
Yes, slapped to death.
Oh, that's just a horrible feeling, isn't it? He's just wandering after you, and you just are completely powerless.
Nothing to, didn't even have boots himself, but of course has the W, the Blood Boil to close the distance, even on the usually slippery Vayne. Watching mid lane, actually the first to back is Ahri coming through, and you can see quite a significant CS advantage already for Barca. Before you get that ultimate, you can still start to hit those skill shots, because with the ranges changed for Ahri, she has to get closer and closer to the minion wave to be able to try and push it with the Orb of Deception, and obviously the poison has been ringing true from Barca.
Well, you can see Korn actually didn't stay in that fountain for very long, stays at about half mana here at the same time. Just wants to be able to get back for this minion wave. You can see only about 10 behind as Flandre taking a lot of damage here from Cola, who's putting the pressure on. Does have a Doran's Ring here at the same time as those boots, as Blank up here to try and get some pressure on.
I mean, it'd be very intriguing to see whether Barca goes for an identical build to his Karthus build. Already has the tier. Rylai's, again, one of the staple items of Karthus.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I will tell you, Starhorn Royal Club. Free advice. Ward that Baron at 20 minutes, because Cassiopeia is a great replacement for Karthus, and they once again have the Kalista.
There's a beautiful grab there as Crystal not going to get condemned against the wall, using that Marshall poise very beautifully to get out of the way of that one. Zero does have his eye in for these hooks as Snake are up against this turret.
You wouldn't think a team could have more Baron damage than Snake did at game 1, but adding Nunu into the mix, Flandre can take it for days.
And the secure.
This is a filthy Baron taking comp coming through from Snake. You need to get those wards around Baron up at 19 minutes. Prep them early, because they're going to be necessary.
Yep, Prey Seeker just going to annoy Beast there as well as he's taking down this Rift Scuttler. Snake with a 1,000 gold lead. No turrets to be falling just yet. A lot of excitement on this map so far, but this is a killing spree Nunu at the beginning of this one.
A killing spree Nunu's got a snowball Sightstone so far, so of course the jungle path
snowball almost everything.
He's got a very quick Sightstone coming through with the 3 kills. I'm not going to even enter into discussion with you anymore,
Okay,
Atlas.
fair enough.
He's got the snowball Sightstone. Let's say it again. Let's just leave it this time. He's already starting to get the aggressive wards down, is Nunu. You can see red wards already littering the red side jungle of Starhorn Royal Club. The thing I love about Snake's team comp, and I really do love this team comp, Atlas, is that, okay, you're going to see Cassiopeia and Kalista fighting. You want to kill those if you're Starhorn Royal Club. Do you agree with this statement so far? How are you going to get past the Pillar of Ice, Nunu charging the Absolute Zero, even with some snowballs to throw out as well, and then Barca's Petrifying Gaze if you somehow get through, and a box too, throw it in there. The space control coming out from Snake is disgusting, and Crystal, once he hits that 2-item power spike, fight over Baron, fight over Dragon, go fight anywhere, because Snake, you've sewn it up just in Champ Select.
Yeah, beautifully played. We'll see whether they do manage to... Yeah, well, already pretty beautifully played as well, getting Beast fairly far ahead, able to affect these lanes. Another hook, though, in the bottom lane as Ella gets condemned and just gets thrown around. He has no control over where he is in this bottom lane. Very confused. Understandably as well, but of course Crystal not getting grabbed there is going to be very important. 14 CS advantage here for Barker. That's a couple of waves that he has in the advantage as Korn does push out this wave here as well.
And Crystal's actually turning back the clock. Very early Berserker's Greed pickup. It's not on Caitlyn, which we often saw, but actually completed on Kalista for two reasons. For one reason, defensively, just having extra flat movement speed to avoid that Blitzcrank hook is a very relevant statistic as we're waiting for Korn to maybe throw out the charm. Doesn't do it. So, of course, movement speed, that helps against the Blitzcrank hook, but offensively, any champion with an auto attack augment, like the Rend, like Twitch's Expunge, loves to get those early boots too for that early, very cost-effective attack speed. So offensive and defensive options, not necessarily health or flat AD, but still a very flexible first purchase from Crystal.
Yep, and there's the Dark Passage as well. Going to get Kalista to safety. Very safe lane here as long as Ella's playing back there as well as Zero doing some zoning work. They are going to get them off this one, but Beast looking to try and get some damage down. Skirmishes Saber now onto Korn. The flash into the Petrifying Gaze gets him the slow. The Ice Blast there as well. They're not stopping as the Orbit Deception comes through. Not going to get the follow-up damage. Blank now in a lot of trouble. Look at this consistent CC, and Barker picks up the kill. The rest of Snake already down here as Name. He pops the ult. The final hours there as the Fates Call over the wall doesn't get the knockdown. But Death Sentence is there just before the Condemn. The dancing through Crystal here as well as Name's getting a lot of swords in his back. There's the Rend as Korn. He's got the reset, the next Rend, and Crystal gets a double.
And Snake completely style all over Starhorn Royal Cup. First Blank, what are you doing? You have to respect the consistent damage coming out from Cassiopeia. Dies first, and then one of the sickest interactions I've seen. The Fates Call over the wall into the red pit to get the flay, I believe, was just insane coming through from Snake. Excellent mechanics. They're going to pick up the Dragon as well. And this game, it's not decided at 10 minutes, but damn, it's getting there.
Yeah, and Ella's death sentences have had the tether tested this game, Papa Smithy, with, of course, now they've taken down the Dragon, but I mean, last game we saw that death sentence chain be very, very long, but the Condemn afterwards as well, unable to break that one, and Ella able just to lock down Name in that last fight. He does have a CS advantage, a couple of assists there as well, but doesn't have his Blade of the Ruined King yet to the BF sword that's been completed now for Crystal. Does want to go for that Bloodthirster again as the first item choice.
I mean, just in terms of items that picked up, Berserker's Greaves into a BF sword far outweighs Vamp Scepter into some attack speed daggers. The hook comes through very nice, but doesn't pick it up amazingly.
Yeah, Beast able to use that smite to secure the blue buff.
Was on 16 health after the hook, but still secured it. So this is the big issue for Blitzcrank. If your lane falls behind, at this point, Vayne cannot trade with Crystal, despite whatever the CS values are telling you. You just don't offer much as Blitzcrank. Bursting down Kalista is not really looking like a realistic option with the fact that Ella can just throw out the Dark Passage, and suddenly you're going to have to exit lane just against Crystal, I mean, without Thresh even present in lane.
Yeah, and of course, Beast able to pick up a few assists this time, so not going to continue picking up all of the kills here on the map. Able to give some over to Barker, able to give 2 now over to Crystal, who's looking very, very frightening. The Sentinel to come through. Ooh, looking for the rocket grab, but Martial Poise is going to save Crystal, who takes the Dark Passage. And he's going to secure that pink ward there as well. Name probably wants to move away as the Pierce comes through. And look at that Ren transfer damage at the same time. That is a whole lot of work done to this Vayne.
And Crystal, one of the most noted Kalista players, is still maxing the Ren.
That was amazing.
Gets the triple Ren in, as you mentioned. Is still maxing the Ren. We've seen a lot of Pierce maxes actually this week with the Bloodthirster. Just going for a bit more guaranteed AoE range clear. Ranged wave clear, but in this situation, going for the Ren set build, despite the fact that he's building the BF sword. Waiting behind was Rek'Sai, but has to leave. The Kalista mechanics from Crystal, they've always been a highlight, and they continue to be a treat.
Yeah, really looking beautiful so far, and you can see the amount of pressure here on this bottom side. That Pierce is just magnetized onto Name here as the rocket grab being threatened, but Crystal does have the ability just to jump out of the way of this one. The Pierce going to be available as well to reset that Martial Poise for him if he so needs to.
And this is, of course, Kalista Thresh, so who do you hook? Because there's a Dark Passage and a Fate's Call, depending on which target you go for. Saddest day of Blitzcrank's life coming through as Beast finds Zero on his roam.
Yeah, Beast looking for Zero. Doesn't have very much mana as the Blitzcrank, and he's just going to do a bit of a drive-by and head back to base as Ella wants to be able to get some vision down here as well. Beast and Ella, they do find this pink ward as they start off the Raptors, and looks like Snake, they own the jungle here as Cola in a bit of trouble as Flandre turning around a 2v1 situation. The Subjugate doing some work, but Blank, nothing he could do. It's
a very big one-item power spike in terms of the Tiamat. You need to pick that up for a bit of AoE wave clear. Of all the things Trundle has, a lot of CC, sustain, is a very strong top lane. Just isn't able to control waves. So the Tiamat at least gives him a bit of AoE wave clear as Snake finally going to take out this outer turret.
And they're going to continue down the wave here as well. Of course, Crystal hasn't been back to buy for a little while. Does have the CS advantage now for himself as they clear out the rest of these minions. And Star and Royal Club really just floundering here at this stage of the game. Nice scrying all going to spot out Zero there in that bottom brush. And they continue the push. Barker's here as well. Crystal going to get condemned out of the way of this turret because they just want to stop the damage. Oh my goodness. Dark Passage is going to save Crystal here as Cola was coming through the back. Flandre going to teleport in. They're looking for something here as the hook doesn't quite land. Flandre able to take down this ward here on the bottom side of the map. But 5 members strong of Snake. They really want to take this inner turret. Dragon not available for another few minutes.
I should see a rotation coming from Star World Cup. Just try and take out this outer turret. 5 members to the bottom side. So your red side jungle is definitely not a safe space. But they could have just rushed down mid and got some turret damage. Choose not to do that. Maokai's going to get some happy farm on in the top lane. I mean, Name's going to continue to farm up, but it feels like another one of those games where Vayne's just going to be irrelevant as the game might be decided before she starts to hit a really big power spike.
Yeah, it does have the Bilgewater Cutlass now, I guess, so going to have a little bit more of that lifesteal and ability to stay in lane, but it's really not looking good as Crystal's finished off that Bloodthirster. One does pick up a blue buff. We'll see how this one does go. Flandre, first item Hydra, already completed here. Doesn't want to sit on that Tiamat for too long. Does have the CS advantage here as well, and he's able to push out these waves very effectively. So much sustain now on this Trundle, who didn't need any extra sustain to come through from any items.
And that's the crazy thing, is that the little buffs that he got was for the range and consistency of his healing from his passive. Now has a massive amount of lifesteal that I believe is still augmented by his W.
Yeah.
So at this point, absolutely immovable in lane, despite the fact that he hasn't gone for the Catalyst build. He's able to go an offensive item and be equally immovable compared to a Maokai, which is no mean feat.
Yeah, and I believe that that Frozen Domain as well now gives him a flat 20% extra healing as well, instead of that scaling healing as you level it up. So even at this stage of the game, when it doesn't have all of its points in it yet, it's still very, very relevant. And with the Hydra as well, I mean, there's no way you're moving this Trundle out of lane.
I mean, when you're more immovable than a Maokai, you know you're doing something right.
No, most definitely. Is Korn going to be able to clear out this minion wave? Still behind in farm by just a little bit, but that gap hasn't really changed too much. Blade of the Ruin King now completed by Name, who's staying up in farm. That is definitely something to his credit here, as Flandre going to get rid of some tunnels, and it looks like Snake not quite able to find what they want. The flash out of the way from the hook there. A lot of respect onto Zero, as Barker probably would have died there. The rest of his team not quite able to get there in time. Blue buff going to be taken down by Crystal by the looks of things.
The Dragons respawn. No teleports available from the top lanes. We might see 4v4 action, but Snake, they took the first one. They want to continue with the second Dragon.
Yeah, and they have the Rift Scuttler here as well, so Snake able to see exactly what's going on. There's a ward down for Royal Club as Flandre is going to take down the turret. Of course, a lot of damage, and Ella's going to get caught out here. There's the Fate's Call, though.
Very low still.
He's going to be safe. No Ignite ticks left, and that was very close.
Very close, but you can see that there's already a big win for Flandre in the top lane pushing, but this is an engage. Beast needs to get there.
He needs to get to the lane, makes it, and doesn't quite get grabbed back. That would have been a very cool interaction as the outer turret does fall down. Cola now needs to be careful. Barker's going to take down the other outer turret, and that is the whole ring now removed. Royal Club, you better really enjoy this Dragon because it cost you a whole lot.
2 turrets for one. That, even though they might see the Dragon, doesn't mean they're not going to fight after.
Oh, the hook's going through everywhere. Name actually gets hit by the death sentence and now manages to tumble out of the way as Zero going down very, very low. Crystal gets the reset on him, though, and he's going to be able to lock down Name at the same time. Zero does eventually die there. It's, oh my goodness, Korn gets locked down by the Pillar of Ice. Flandre's going to chomp him with a flash there at the same time. Subjugate not quite available just yet, but getting slowed down by these chomps as there's the charm to finally land, and the Ahri able to use that nimble movement in order to get out of the way. There's the knock-up actually going to come through here. Not actually bound as Kohler comes down. Flandre gets blank, and the Subjugate just off cooldown, just in time.
Just in time, absolutely. So the Dragon does go down for Style and Royal Club, but they lost so many things in trade. There was a sick interaction between the Blitzcrank hook and Ella's Death Sentence. I'm going to wait for the replay to see if it was intentional, but actually got hooked into opening up a hook onto Vayne to get the pick onto Name. It was just amazing to see Name now 0-3-2, already falling dramatically far behind.
Yeah, it's actually... Crystal going to get caught out just a little bit here. Dodges away from the hook. Name's going to get taken down in a 2v1, and Crystal now turns his attention to Zero. The 2v1 battle is going to be won by Crystal here as well as Zero. He gives up. He knows exactly what's happening, and man, that outplay was beautiful.
You can see Name furiously talking into his chat, but the fights continue.
Yeah, Barker actually in a lot of trouble. Can he do the 2v1 here as the Petrifying Gaze wasn't off cooldown? Unable to turn that around, and at least they managed to take down the mid laner.
Yeah, but two 2v1s and one gone horribly long. A 1v2 it was.
That was a Crystal with over 2,500 gold in their back pocket.
Yeah, now of course has the straight up Hurricane. Realize is the completion. It's actually an identical item build, barring maybe a second Doran Ring coming through from Barker. Cassiopeia, Karthus, they do very similar things in terms of Baron damage output. I almost said that horribly wrong.
Damage. Yeah,
yep, you nailed it there.
I didn't quite understand what you were
trying to say. And it's almost go time when it comes to Baron pressure. 1945 for Snake.
Yeah. Ooh, the Death Sentence not going to find it. We'll see whether Zero can answer with a hook. Doesn't even look for it here as Flandre is hanging around as well. Almost has the Frozen Heart completed.
But look, there's so much more on top of ward coverage around Baron. They are not to be caught with their pants down twice around Baron, as there's 2 wards in the area from Starhorn Royal Club.
Yep, 6,000 gold the lead at 20 minutes, though, is a very scary prospect here for Royal Club to come back from. See whether they can. Of course, Blitzcrank, fantastic for turning games in the late game. If you get that godlike hook that you need, that could be all she wrote here. But we'll see whether it does come through. A lot riding on Zero there with this pick.
And that ride might be even faster as Beast has picked up the Righteous Glory. This Nunu, that of course snowballed early, still is 3-0, 3-0-6 now, so a little bit less kill participation coming through from Beast. It's now going to be turboing in with that targeted skill. Yeah,
it's going to be ridiculous, and able to get that slowdown as well on a whole lot of these mobility-reliant champions as well in Name and Khorne on the Ahri and the Vayne. Ooh, Noxious Blast not going to find blank there. As he is borrowed, does have a little bit more movement speed there on this Rek'Sai.
Waiting to see what Snake wants to do. They have Trundle swift pushing in the bottom lane. Has a lot of tankiness himself, working towards the Frozen Heart. That means even more uptime on the Pillar of Ice, and that space control comp that we've talked about will really get underway when there's this consistent CC coming out from multiple members.
Yeah, Name now on the bottom side. Of course, Flandre with his teleport available. We'll see whether Snake want to make a move towards this Baron. They decide not to at this stage, as Crystal's going to continue pushing in this top lane. Does have, oh my goodness, steals away the Gromp as well. Crystal, you are so greedy.
Yeah, I mean, the Pierce now is doing plenty of damage with the AD scaling coming through from the Bloodthirster. I mean, Starhorn Royal Club are rotating around trying to get CS onto Name, but it's almost for naught. The fact that he's only 25 CS behind belittles the fact that he's 0-4-2 because it's 6-1-1 Crystal. At this point, despite having a teamfight-orientated build with the Hurricane, he's going to win 1v1s against Vayne, and that's when the whole strategy...
He's winning 1v2s.
He's winning 1v2s, that's worth noting. But in this situation, I mean, Vayne can't enter lane against Kalista when usually it's a lane matchup where Vayne can pick up, say, the Youmuu's Ghostblade second and actually split happily against Crystal.
Yeah, unable to this game. You saw Fate's Call not going to find Name there on the top side of the map, but didn't want to go anywhere near that Kalista. Snake, now they're going to start off the Baron.
Of course they are. There's so much Baron damage. Starhorn Royal Club respect it though, and the peel off and the fight should come in.
Yeah, there's the Death Sentence to land as well as the box comes through. Khorne now using that Spirit Rush to get around this fight. Crystal gets grabbed and exhausted here as well, but not quite taken out just yet. Khorne's going to get taken down here as the Absolute Zero is going to do a whole lot of damage. Blank in trouble, but that is all of the damage now down on the side of Royal Club for just Crystal. But man, that hook from Zero, that definitely saved the Baron.
And that was the only way they could stop the amazing comp from coming through. Kohler and Flandre fighting. Flandre obviously winning that in a quite landslide fashion, but probably not with kill pressure.
Yeah, these top laners not actually opting to teleport towards that Baron fight as well, actually. So neither team going to benefit or sort of fail on that front at all.
But you can see what would have happened in that fight if not for the miracle hook coming out from Zero. Barker was trying to fight right next to Crystal and use that ultimate for peel, and they were in general peeling for Crystal. The heroic hook negates all of that positioning play coming through from Snake. So good job there from Zero. To some point starting to vindicate the Blitzcrank pick for comp, but is it enough given the gold lead now? It extends just over 6,000 gold.
Yeah, that was a kill coming through for Name in that last one. Does manage to pick himself up a cloak of agility here as well, going towards that Phantom Dancer as Beast has found Blank.
I mean, they were doing nothing to each other. They were basically slapping each other. There was a bit of tomfoolery going on.
Definitely some tomfoolery.
In the enemy jungle.
Yeah. Nothing found. Of course, Dark Passage was there for Ella, and Blank does have a lot more mobility there on the Rex side. Speaking of which, Void Rush going to be used to get him back towards this Baron area. Rift Scuttler was taken.
Look at this teleport, though. Flanking teleport.
Goodness.
This could be real, real bad.
Yep. Speaking of real bad, there's the Fates Call immediately. Beast managing to get the snowball, onto Name. Does pop the ultimate, immediately gets cancelled, but Name now has to deal with Flandre right in his face. Beast just throws a ball at him and manages to pick up the killer's Korn. Now focusing on Beast here in the backside. Meanwhile, the rest of Snake are just going to destroy Kohler as well, as Flandre just smacking Beast about. Frozen Domain, they're going to give him a whole lot of movement speed, but takes a tunnel and he's going to be safe. But the Baron, most definitely not.
And Flandre and Beast are so strong that what should usually be a 5-man peel unit for Crystal was actually fighting on 2 fronts. Beast and Flandre assassinated down Name in the backline. And Crystal, Barker, and Ella, Thresh, Kalista, and Cassiopeia. Damage, CC coming through on any of the divers. 2 fronts, not ideal for Snake, but working out just fine. And they secure the Baron.
Oh my goodness, he gets out! That was ridiculous. Ella didn't actually check the brush there. All he needed was a flay, and that would have been a dead Korn, but Korn staying true, didn't cancel.
So we can calm down on that one. They had already secured the objective. They had no reason to expect a wild Ari in that particular
they saw the
brush.
Orbit Deception come through.
Okay.
Surely. I was excited
Bigger
about
problems
it.
for Starhorn Royal Club this
yeah,
game.
that's true. It's a drip in the ocean just a little bit here as a 10,000 gold lead
And Crystal
has
does
resulted.
not want this game to go long. He's actually gone for the Hex Drinker just for a bit of cost-effective MR. And again, this first time it's popped, and it has been popped at once, it's just deceptive. You don't expect a Hex Drinker coming out of an AD carry, but very cost-effective, a very nice item purchase. You know, in the late game, it's no QSS. As Zero goes for a bit of a dance on top of the Pillar of Ice.
Yep, spinning around that pillar. Flandre didn't actually opt for the Junkyard skin this time. I'm a bit sad about that. But of course, the Brutalizer now being completed as well by Crystal. Not entirely sure what he's going to build towards there. Probably the Ghost Blade for a little bit more mobility around these fights and sort of the ability to instantly take down one of the carries if he's going to be fighting them.
He's having a bit of an identity crisis. We always talk about Crystal maybe peaking at 2 items. He might think he's Pantheon and going for the cost-effective armor penetration and 80 fighter build. But they're fighting a lot. And again, if this game doesn't go long, you're not going to be punished for moving away from the attack speed, the critical strike, the more standard modifiers. And to be honest, on a champion like Kalista, who doesn't really need critical strike, doesn't really fit it into a build till maybe 6 items once you've really committed to the Hurricane build, no reason not to go a bit more mid-game.
Yeah, really wanting to get some damage down here as well. Pierce going to land on a Korn, but inner turret does stay up for now as Flandre is going to be able to split push in the bottom side. Beast and Barker hanging out in this mid lane, and there goes the inner turret in the top, and this is the last inner turret now available for Royal Club. We'll see whether Snake are going to collapse on this area. Zero waiting in the wings, looking for a potential hook to come through as Blank searches for some Prey Seekers. Oh, close.
I mean, this is nothing Starhorn Royal Club can do. They don't have the best wave clear. It's only Ari, remember, because Vayne offers little to nothing in that regard. Hasn't even gone for the static shift for even threatening any sort of wave clear with a bit of AoE splash lightning damage. In this situation, they're just happy to see turrets. I mean, that's all they can honestly do. It's against Baron buff. The wave clear for Snake's a lot better, even though Cassiopeia has to spend out a few spells to do it. They keep pushing. The Siege is decent without being wonderful. They only have 2 ranged auto attackers and a Thresh, so 3 ranged auto attackers.
Not bad.
But just given how the game's going, given the fact it's a 13,000 gold lead, Starhorn Royal Club just ceding advantage, and I don't think even a Vayne can bring them back in the late game.
Well, Name, he's done amazing things in the past. We'll see whether he can do it again, but it's not looking great this time as Flandre's got a Trinity Force.
And just things in general have really worked against Starhorn Royal Club this season. Name not being available despite the trade going through. hurt them in their preparations. They
True.
were splitting scrim time between Name and HYY and Wei, depending on which AD carry they were playing during the first, I believe, 6-7 weeks of the LPL. It was a lot of the season, more than half. They were away from Name. Name himself definitely isn't rising to his 2014 and previous play, but can that really be expected against these teams that have so much more practice playing against each other, scrimming against each other? This has left practice and just hasn't lived up to the hype. I don't think that's really a big surprise, given just the fact that he's thrust in right at the end of a very long 44-game season. They'll need to battle through LSPL. There's no guarantee they'll be in the LPL next season. But StarHorn Royal Club, with Inset back in the lineup, with things going their way, it would have been a different season, I think.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed to not have their star jungler here on the lineup.
It's a long way to fall down, though. Of course, World Finals. This is actually the StarHorn Royal Club special because they did the same thing after the Season 3 World Finals, really falling down without being relegated that time. That was the role swap. We all remember Uzi to mid lane. That was not the best role swap for StarHorn Royal Club. In this situation, forced for other reasons not to field their best AD carry in that position. 2015 might still be the year for StarHorn Royal Club, but it certainly hasn't started that way.
Not so much, but we'll see whether they can make it back in, of course, up against the LSPL teams who are no slouch as well. We've seen some fantastic performances out of those guys. And
we'll be seeing them soon, of course, in the promotion tournament next week.
Name clearing out this wave in the bottom side, doing their very best to triage this game is Royal Club. Lots of wards here for Snake, able to use a very nice sweeper there to get rid of a few, but Snake now just probably waiting for the next neutral objective to pick up. They've taken every single camp on the map. Of course, prioritizing Royal Club's jungle here as well, as Blank going to set up some tunnels here just to make sure that he can get around this one as best he possibly can to help out. Flandre being a nuisance on the bottom side, as we had Barker picking up his own blue buff. We'll see whether we are going to get any action moving into this one, as Crystal's going to start sieging down on this inhibitor turret. There's the twisted advance, actually. Not a whole lot of members of Snake are around here as Beast. Absolute zeros there as well. As my goodness, the damage from that one. Crystal going down very, very low. He's going to be taken out here by Korn, as there's the grab onto Ella at the same time. No Fates call flashes after a nice play, but that is going to be the death of the support. And just a little bit overexcited were our Snake members.
Yeah, Flandre tried to get some split pushing going, but Cassiopeia Barker walked towards top, then walked back when he realized it'd be too late to enter the fight. Didn't get any work done, so 2 picks for free, basically. No real pressure coming through from Snake. In general, Snake's comp is much better defensively than it is at sieging down turrets, so that's why we've seen so much defensive play. The fact that they've felt like they've taken the foot off the gas in the last 5 minutes. When it comes to actually breaking the base, their comp doesn't really work well in that situation. So they just had to go for this split push. It's been punished once. They have the global from Rek'Sai coming through as well. We've pronounced this game over a bit like Royal Club's season, but it might not be just yet, just because Snake are going to struggle until, as you mentioned, the likes of Baron or maybe a 5th Dragon come onto the map.
Yeah, and this is, of course, still League of Legends. Anything can happen moving into this one, despite the 13,000 gold lead, because if you get to that late game stage where money becomes irrelevant, it's just that. Money's irrelevant. If they can't break the base, they can't get in there and start these split side pushing minions.
And it's worth mentioning. Stranger things have happened. So this game not over until you break the base. We've seen Juggermore comps, for example, come back from probably even bigger disadvantages. If the enemy team hasn't been able to get an inhibitor to really start to get the 6th man, the super minions working against them in a landslide fashion. The 5th Dragon is still a long, long way away. So only 2-1 in Dragons at 32 minutes. That's a very slow clip in general. Of course, the first one will be picked up around the 14-15 minute rather than the 3 to 6 minute Dragons we've seen earlier in the season. Flandre just laughs at the Dragon, though, solos it down with so much ease. But 3rd Dragon, still not a win condition really shouting out for Snake, and StarHorn World Club happy to turtle up.
Yeah, they're doing their very best, too, as Void Rush is going to at least get Blank in here with his team. Flandre still on the bottom side. Crystal pushing out that wave in the top. He's going to have that one pushing forward. As turret going to be removed. Zero looking for a hook. Maybe doesn't want it on Beast, though, who's very, very tanky.
And Flandre, he's tanky. That's one of his strong suits, but he does a hell of a lot of damage.
Oh,
Trinity
yeah.
Force might actually just be for sieging, because those Trinity Force blocks, at this point, he can just ignore Maokai in terms of doing damage to him, and the Trinity Force is going to help him take down this bottom turret and really open up that win condition and finally get towards an inhibitor.
And you have to think he's probably a bit annoyed at this Hydra as well, who's going to be drawing turret aggro as he's trying to just hit the turret.
Neither the
instead of
turret
Cola.
nor Maokai are going to be doing a lot of damage to Flandre, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I guess he doesn't really worry about it too much. The Pillar of Ice is there, and you saw Flandre didn't take any damage from anything at all. Void Staff has been completed now for Korn, though, so that's a nice 3-item spike. But in response to that, Barker has the Death Cap and the Rylays and the Seraph's Embrace, plus a cheeky Haunting Guise. This Cassiopeia is definitely doing ridiculous amounts of damage at this stage of the game. A lot of magic penetration here as well against a lineup that doesn't have a whole lot of AoE magic resist. Of course, none of these Lockets of the Iron Solari being completed because, of course, that's a Righteous Glory on 0.
And Crystal got interesting items. Look at Flandre, that's what I was mentioning. With that Trinity Force, you do so much damage to structures, you can shrug off the damage. Finally, they're able to break the base, and it's just Flandre with the solo mission. It looked like a greedy build, but when you have so much gold and already a Frozen Heart and a Spectre's Cowl, he breaks the base and wins the game, basically, for Snake.
Yeah, just now turns his attention to Cola, who's walking away from this one. Cola not taking a whole lot of damage as Name's making his way in here. We'll see whether Flandre is going to be okay.
Wait for the Pillar of Ice.
Yep, Silverbolt's doing some work here. Twisted Advance coming through. Korn's down as well, lands the charm. But Baron, at the same time, is going to fall. It was all just a ploy from Flandre, who still has his teleporter available. We'll be able to meet up with his team in another 40 seconds here.
And he's already done his work. He already got the inhibitor. He got the inhibitor turret. He opened up a free Baron for his team. Can't ask for much more from your tanky top laner. And we've forgotten for a while. We haven't mentioned the fact that Kalista, Cassiopeia, Nunu stare at Baron and it instantly dies. It's effectively what happened off your screen. And things working out for Snake.
Oh, yeah. And now it's a Spirit Visage completed by Flandre as well. He's going to have so much healing. It's going to be pretty insane as Crystal completes the QSS there as well.
A lot of magic resist, the more Mammoth is. Even when he falls low, he's going to have 20% lifesteal and a shield to help open up extra time to lifesteal.
And extra damage as well.
And extra damage, that's worth mentioning as well. So Crystal, very, very difficult to kill. Going to be hopping mad in the back of the fight. And good luck getting through the space control of the Trundle Pillar of Ice, the Absolute Zero, the Snowball, Cassiopeia's ultimate, and then just her regular spells are slowing at this point. And the box, 99% slow. That should be helpful too.
Yep, that's 99% effective, you could imagine. As Snake now looking to push through, but they haven't managed to break open the rest of these ones. And of course, in a siege situation, we'll see what Starhorn Royal Club can do. But with that bottom lane inhibitor down and Name, all of his time being taken up. Crystal now has some free time. Look at this tower get destroyed.
And the Pillar of Ice just zoning away as if it's a Gragas ultimate. Will we see the big fight though?
Yeah, Beast actually takes no damage here as Barker's getting destroyed, exhausted down here as well as Blank comes through. Petrifying Gaze onto both of those tanky members. Cola does manage to take down Cassiopeia, but at what cost now as Royal Club are getting destroyed. Death sentence onto Korn after the Fates call. That was stunning. As Zero, the last man standing, the second inhibitor falls with super creeps entering towards that bottom side. Snake make it a clean 2-0 victory, and they are looking terrifying moving into playoffs.
Absolutely, I believe this is Snake's last game before playoffs, looking so convincing. Starhorn Royal Club convincingly beat 2-0, will not make it to the LPL playoffs. Name's dreams as he stepped onto the fields a month ago are dashed, as he will not be in the playoff finals. But Snake, who's to say about them? Because if they play and they draft so intelligently, love the space control comp with a hyper carry like Kalista, and hell, Cassiopeia does plenty of damage in the backline as well.